When I was young, I asked my mother why she always cut off the ends of the links when cooking sausage. She told me, well, that's just the way my mother always did it. You should ask her. So a few days later, I asked my grandma why she cuts the ends off the sausage. She replied, well, that's just the way my mother always did it. You should really ask her about that. A week later, we were visiting my great-grandmother in the nursing home, and I asked why she always cut the sausages like that. She said, crying out loud, they're still using that tiny frying pan? A bear walks into a bar in Billings, Montana, and sits down. He bangs on the bar with his paw and demands a beer. The bartender approaches and says, we don't serve beer to bears in bars in Billings. The bear, becoming angry, demands again that he be served a beer. The bartender tells him again, more forcefully, we don't serve beer to belligerent bears in bars in Billings. The bear, very angry now, says, if you don't serve me a beer, I'm gonna eat that lady sitting at the end of the bar. The bartender says, sorry, we don't serve beer to belligerent bully bears in bars in Billings. The bear goes to the end of the bar, and as promised, eats the woman. He comes back to his seat and again demands a beer. The bartender states, sorry, we don't serve beer to belligerent bully bears in bars in Billings who are on drugs. The bear says, I'm not on drugs. The bartender says, you are now. That was a barbiturate. I met my recently divorced friend for a beer last week. Obviously, I asked him how the divorce went. She got the best lawyers in the country, so I lost my kids, my house, my car, and my dog, he said. I have to pay half of my paycheck in child support and the other half in alimony. She gets most of my 401k, and I even had to hand over my family's heirlooms, but I can't complain. Oh, so there's a bright side to all of this? No, the settlement also says I can't complain. At the height of a political corruption trial, the prosecuting attorney attacked a witness. Isn't it true, he bellowed, that you accepted $100,000 to compromise this case? The witness stared out the window, as though he hadn't heard the question. Isn't it true that you accepted $100,000 to compromise this case? The lawyer repeated. The witness still did not respond. Finally, the judge leaned over and said, sir, please answer the question. Oh, the startled witness said, I thought he was talking to you. A married couple discusses his erectile dysfunction with a surgeon. Well, medication is not helping, so we would have to operate. You have 3 options. We can do reconstruction of your pubococcygeus muscle. Level 1 surgery will enable you to get 1 erection a month. That costs $10,000. Level 2 surgery will enable you to get 1 per week. That costs $20,000. Level 3 surgery will enable you to get 1 per day. That costs $30,000. I'll pop out for some coffee. Give you both some time to decide next steps. 20 minutes later, he came back to the office. How you two getting on? Decided yet? Husband: yes, we have decided to get a new kitchen. 3 guys are having fun in a swimming pool. Suddenly a genie appears. Genie, I will grant every one of you a wish. Just go on the diving board, say what you wish for, jump, and you will land in the swimming pool full of what you wish for. The first guy goes on the diving board, says gold, jumps, and lands in the swimming pool, now full of gold. The man smiles. Thanks, the genie. Gathers as much gold as he can and leaves. The second guy goes on the diving board and says diamonds, jumps and lands in the swimming pool, now full of diamonds. The man smiles. Thanks, the genie. Takes as many diamonds as he can and leaves. The last guy thinks long about what he will wish for. Then finally he goes on to the diving board. He's about to say what he wishes for, but before he can, he loses his balance, trips, and as he falls into the pool, he says, crap! A guy with a cat wins the lottery and decides to take an extended leave from his job. He packs his bags and buys a ticket to South America, but there's a problem. He needs someone to take care of his beloved cat. Hey John, I need you to take care of my cat for 3 months. 3 months? Yeah, but don't worry. Just feed her 3 times a day, change her litter, play with her a bit, and take her to the vet if needed. Dang, so what if she dies? No, heavens no. I couldn't handle that. You need to let me down easy. Just call and say she climbed on the roof. On the roof? And yes, then tell me everything is fine. Say the fire department is getting her down, but all is good, no worries. Okay? After 20 minutes, call me and say, sure, she fell off the roof, but she's fine. I'm taking her to the vet just in case. All is good, no worries. Then, after an hour, say, the doctor says she's fine other than a broken rib. We're running a few tests. All is good, no worries. Oh boy, are you, Then wait another 30 minutes and say, hey man, I don't know how to say this, but she didn't make it. I'm so sorry. Dude, are you done? I got it. If your cat dies, I'll let you down easy. No worries. The man says goodbye to his cat and leaves. Upon arriving in South America, he gets a call from John. Visibly worried, he answers, what is it? Is my cat okay? What? Yeah, she's fine. Really? Do you mean that? Yeah, man, all is good, no worries. It's just that your mother climbed on the roof. Billy was failing math. Mom and teachers tried everything, but to no avail. Finally, Mom decided to enroll Billy in Catholic school. Billy came home the first day and went straight to his room to do his math homework. This went on for a few weeks before his mom finally talked to Billy about his changed behavior. What made you focus and do your homework? Billy replied. Well, on the first day I saw that guy nailed to the plus sign, I knew they meant business. Every Friday afternoon, the teacher would ask her students a question, promising to give them Monday off. But the questions were always so impossibly hard that the kids never got it right. One kid grew increasingly frustrated at this tease. So one Friday, he painted 2 Super Balls black. And just when the teacher was about to ask her a question, he bounced them down the aisle to the front of the class. The teacher saw them and said, okay, who's the comedian with the 2 black balls? The kid shouted, Kevin Hart, see you Tuesday. A new soldier was on sentry duty at the main gate. Her orders were clear. No car was to enter unless it had a special sticker on the windshield. A big army car came up with a general seated in the back. The sentry said, "Halt! Who goes there?" The chauffeur, a corporal, says, "General Wheeler!" "I'm sorry, I can't let you through. You've got to have a sticker on the windshield." The general said, "Drive on!" The sentry said, "Hold it! You really can't come through. I have orders to shoot if you try driving in without a sticker." The general repeated, "I'm telling you, son, drive on!" The sentry walked up to the rear window and said, "General, I'm new at this. Do I shoot you or the driver?" A lady motorist was about 2 hours from San Diego when she was flagged down by a man whose truck had broken down. The man walked up to the car and asked, "Are you going to San Diego?" "Sure," answered the lady. "Do you need a lift?" "Not for me. I'll be spending the next 3 hours fixing my truck. My problem is I've got 2 chimpanzees in the back that have to be taken to the San Diego Zoo. They're a bit stressed already, so I don't want to keep them on the road all day. Could you possibly take them to the zoo for me? I'll give you $100 for your trouble." "I'd be happy to," said the lady. So the 2 chimpanzees were ushered into the back seat of the lady's car and carefully strapped into their seatbelts, and off they went. 5 hours later, the truck driver was driving through the heart of San Diego when suddenly he was horrified. There was the lady walking down the street, holding hands with the 2 chimps, much to the amusement of a big crowd. With a screech of brakes, he pulled off the road and ran over to the lady. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "I gave you $100 to take these chimps to the zoo." "Yes, I know you did," said the lady, "but we had money left over, so now we're going to SeaWorld." This chick was walking down a road carrying a bag when a guy came along. The guy asks, "What are you carrying?" "Melons," the girl replies. "Cool," the guy says. "If I can guess how many there are, can I have one of them?" The girl giggles and says, "If you can guess how many there are, you can have both of them." A guy is out playing his usual round of Sunday golf when he gets a call. It's the hospital. His wife has been in a terrible accident, and he needs to be there fast. He rushes to the hospital where a doctor, covered in blood and gore, greets him at emergency room entrance. The doctor says, "Sir, your wife is going to live, but life as you know it is going to change drastically. Your wife is going to require constant care from this point forward. You're going to have to bathe her, feed her, change her diaper regularly, and turn her over every half an hour. Activities such as going out, traveling, and doing the deed are no longer an option. And as for things like golf, well, sir, you simply won't have time to do anything like that anymore." The man stands there, stricken and speechless, until the doctor chucks him on the shoulder and says, "I'm just messing with you, man. She's dead." A husband asks her wife, "If I die, will you get another marriage?" The wife answered, "No, of course not. I'm going to go live with my sister. What about you? Are you getting another marriage when I'm gone?" He replied, "No, same with you. I'm going to go live with your sister." A teen boy is buying a pack of rubbers for the first time. He sees the price is $10, but when he goes to pay it, the register rings it up as $10.65. "What's this 65 cents about?" he asks. The cashier says, "It's for the tax." I was wondering how you keep these things on." A very shy person wanted to learn how to approach a girl, so he went to watch a video on how to overcome shyness and talk to girls. In the video, the coach made a demo where he approached a girl and immediately asked her to guess a number from 1 to 9. The girl said 4, so the coach smiled and replied that the number she picked was the right one and that he can give her a kiss as a gift. So the shy person went to apply what he learned. He approached a girl, asked her to guess a number, and when she answered 5, he was very disappointed. One day during a lesson on proper grammar, the teacher asked for a show of hands for who could use the word beautiful in the same sentence twice. First, she called on little Susie, who responded with, "My father bought my mother a beautiful dress, and she looked beautiful in it." "Very good, Susie," replied the teacher. She then called on little Michael. "My mommy planned a beautiful banquet, and it turned out beautifully," he said. "Excellent, Michael." Then the teacher called on little Johnny. "Last night, at the dinner table, my sister told my father that she was pregnant, and he said, beautiful, flippin' beautiful." I finally found the jackass and honeycomb joke from Game of Thrones by Tyrion Lannister. I once brought a jackass and a honeycomb into a brothel. The madame asked, "What can we do for you?" I said, "I need a woman to lay with, for mine has left me." The madame asked, "You poor thing, whatever for, and why do you have a jackass and a honeycomb?" "Well, I answered. My woman stumbled upon a genie in a bottle, and he granted her 3 wishes. The first was to have the nicest ass in the land, so he gave her this jackass. Her second wish was for a house fit for a queen, so he gave her this beehive." The madam asked, "And what of the third wish?" "For her third wish, my woman asked the genie to make my wang hang down past my knee." "Well, that one's not so bad," the madame exclaimed. "Not so bad?" I replied. "I used to be 6 feet tall." I was leaving the office the other day when I found the CEO standing in front of a shredder with a piece of paper in his hand. Listen, he said, this is a very sensitive and important document, and my secretary has gone for the night. Can you make this thing work for me? Sure, I said. I turned the machine on, inserted the paper, and pressed the start button. Excellent, he said as his paper disappeared into the machine. I just need one copy. A good-looking cowboy is approached by a pretty woman at a bar. Woman: oh my, what a big hat you have. Cowboy: I'm from Texas, miss, and everything we Texans have is big. Woman: oh my, what a big belt buckle you have. Cowboy: I'm from Texas, miss, and everything we Texans have is big. Woman: oh my, what big cowboy boots you have. Cowboy: I'm from Texas, miss, and everything we Texans have is big. After exchanging certain looks, wink, wink, they disappear into the restroom. A couple of minutes go by, and they both reappear. Woman with disappointment: I thought you said you were from Texas. Cowboy: my apologies, miss, but I didn't realize that you're from Texas as well. A factory's machine breaks down, and they don't know how to fix it, so they call a retired expert worker to take a look. He walks in, looks at the machine, takes out a piece of chalk, circles a small part of it, says, "Replace this," and leaves. They replace that part. Everything starts to work again, and he sends them a bill for $5,000. They call him up and ask him how that cost breaks down. He answers, $1 for the chalk, and $4,999 for knowing where to draw the circle. My wife asked me what I would do if she dies first. Apparently, the correct answer is not finally show up to things on time. We've been married 33 years. It seems like only yesterday she showed up to the church 20 minutes late. A man jumps the fence into a tiger enclosure, saying God would protect him. He is quickly eaten and finds himself at the pearly gates before God. "Why did you not protect me from the tigers?" the man asks. "I tried to," God replies. "What do you think the fence was for?" A man running late for his once-in-a-lifetime dream job interview is frantically trying to find a parking spot in a packed lot. Time is not on his side, and he starts to panic. In his last-ditch attempt, he turns to the skies and begs, "God, please, help me out here. I'll do anything. I'll quit smoking. I'll stop drinking. I'll donate money to charity." As soon as he finishes his plea, the skies open up, and the bright light shines onto an empty parking space. The man holds up his hand and goes, "Never mind, I found one." When my wife left, I felt a little sad at first. Then I got a dog, bought a Harley, and asked out a pretty neighbor next door. My life was definitely looking better and brighter, but now I'm thinking that I might be in trouble once my wife gets back home from work. A cop was patrolling late at night in a well-known lover's spot, famous for all obscene activities. He sees a couple in a car with the interior light brightly glowing. The cop carefully approaches the car to get a closer look. Then he sees Leonardo DiCaprio behind the wheel, reading a popular culture magazine. He immediately notices a young woman in the rear seat, crying. Puzzled by this surprising situation, the cop walks to the car and gently raps on the driver's window. DiCaprio lowers his window. Yes, officer?" The cop says, "What are you doing?" DiCaprio says, "Well, officer, I'm reading a magazine," pointing towards the young woman in the back seat. The cop says, "And her, what is she doing?" The man shrugs. "Sir, I believe she's crying." Now the cop is totally confused. DiCaprio, a young woman in a car, at night in a lover's lane, and nothing obscene is happening. The cop asks, "What's your age, man?" DiCaprio says, "I'm 49, sir." The cop asks, "And her, what's her age?" DiCaprio looks at his watch and replies, "She turned 26 3 minutes ago." "Do you know what gaslighting is?" said my girlfriend. "We talked about this last week," I replied. "You should know there's no such thing as gaslighting. You just made that up because you're crazy." A cardiologist died and was given an elaborate funeral. A huge heart-shaped mausoleum covered in flowers stood behind the casket during the service. Following the eulogy, the heart opened and the casket rolled inside. The heart then closed, sealing the doctor and the beautiful heart forever. At that point, one of the mourners burst into laughter. When all eyes turned to him, he said, "I'm sorry, I was just thinking of my own funeral. I'm a proctologist." A man and his wife are trying to join the Catholic Church. They meet with the parish priest to talk about conversion, and he lays out some expectations. In order to join the church, the priest says, "You must prove your dedication to the Lord by remaining celibate for the next 30 days. "Well," says the man, "that sounds like a difficult challenge, but it will be worth it to be part of this church." The man and his wife thank the priest and head home. A month later, the couple is back at the parish to meet with the priest. "Well," he asks, "how did it go?" "I'll be honest, Father," the man answers solemnly. "We almost made it, 29 days in. Then my wife dropped the lettuce, bent over to pick it up, and it was all over." "Well," scolds the priest, "rules are rules. You won't be welcome in the church." "That's okay," says the man. "We can't go back to Walmart anymore either." A crow was sitting on a tree, doing nothing all day. A rabbit asked him, "Can I also sit like you and do nothing all day long?" The crow answered, "Sure, why not?" So the rabbit sat on the ground below the crow and rested. A fox jumped on the rabbit and ate it. Moral of the story: to be sitting and doing nothing, you must be sitting very high up. Sylvester Stallone meets up with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, and Arnold Schwarzenegger at a pub. They get a round of drinks in and sit down at a table. Thanks for coming, guys, says Sly. I've had this great idea for a movie about famous 18th century composers. I wondered if you guys wanted in. I'm planning on playing Beethoven. I love the idea, says Van Damme. I've always wanted to portray Mozart. Yeah, I'm in, says Lundgren. Cast me as Handel. What about you, Arnold, says Sly. Who do you want to play? And Arnie drains his pint and says,
I'll be back.